So the first part to start with is, what are the challenges in doing Web3 growth, and how is that any different from doing growth in any other digital marketing space? The key thing to remember about what's different about doing marketing in a Web3 or blockchain or crypto company than doing digital marketing anywhere else is the anonymity. It's a big no-no in the blockchain industry to collect personal information from your users. For instance, in any other company, whenever a user signs up, it's very typical to collect their email address or their mobile number so you would be able to re-engage with them. But in Web3, it's all about anonymity, and it's a big no-no to do that. So put yourself in the position of a digital marketer in a Web3 company. You can't maintain relationship with existing users because, for instance, you can't do email marketing or SMS marketing. You can't take action to reactivate existing users if, for instance, they stop working with your product and then you want to re-engage with them. And you can't contact visitors to retarget them using ads. For instance, if they visited your website in the past and forget about them, now you want to draw them back. So that's the key thing that's different. Other than that, Web3 marketing is mostly Web 2. That is, it's pretty much the same as digital marketing in any other company. What does that mean? It means that 80% of the work looks similar in working with social media, working on Twitter and Instagram, which are huge in Web3 as they are in any other field. It's a lot about doing community management through Discord and Telegram, being super attentive to users that are coming in, hearing their challenges and trying to help them. It's also about doing a lot of co-marketing and collaborations, working with other projects and companies in the space, and events, PR influencers, anything else that's super common in other companies as well. The key gap, as mentioned earlier, it's the anonymity. And the anonymity, to break down where it's challenging for the marketers, it's in 2 points. The first one of them is retention. A user comes in, signs into your service, and from that point, it's the marketer responsibility to retain the users and keep them for as long as possible, maximizing their lifetime value. And it's extremely difficult when you're unable to communicate directly with customers. The second challenge is acquisition, is how to acquire users that was not yours to start with. And that's very difficult because it's difficult to target Web3 audiences using advertisements, for instance. So do we see any adjustments in kind of the gap of anonymity in how Web3 marketers are working? The answer is that we're starting to see that. We're starting to see more and more startups addressing this gap by providing blockchain marketing analytics, CRM systems, and segmentations to replace the HubSpots and the Salesforce of the world. We see attribution solutions that are helping marketers understand, once there's a conversion event, what was the campaign that brought it over. And we see all sorts of native Web3 or crypto rewarding. For instance, if you come and participate in some specific product, you would be getting an NFT for that. Another thing that we're witnessing is that most of the work that we're seeing in Web3 companies today is extremely labor intensive and unscalable. So what we're seeing is that marketers in these companies are mainly collaborating with one another and not necessarily using automated tools to scale their user base. What we see is mainly partnerships between companies and co-marketing. We see airdrops, which is the method of providing NFT rewards to users that you want to acquire. We see quests, which are somewhat of challenges in which if user posts about your product or they participate in that or do a tutorial, they get a reward for that. And we see a lot of work with influencers, which everything has to include a brief and some process which is very, very much labor intensive. And the key gap that creates is that that's working fairly well in the early stage. Or if you're establishing a Web3 startup that's fair ways to acquire, for instance, your first 10 customers or 100 customers. The point in which it becomes difficult is that once you're getting closer to the product market fit, it becomes very challenging to kind of tune the knob, if you think about that, by putting in more marketing dollars into your campaigns and starting to get more users, which, if you think about that, that's the scalable way in which every marketer wants to acquire users, as done with advertising, for instance, in any traditional industry. And we're starting to see some initial glimpses of scalable strategies. We're starting to see affiliate programs on the market, which we'll chat about later. We're starting to see some marketing automation. We're starting to see more content creation, especially using Gen AI, which is taking over. And we're starting to see more targeted ads, all of which combined are already scalable framework for how to get into new users. Another challenge that we're witnessing is that blockchain is fairly new to the world. It only emerged in 2009, and it's extremely complicated. So there's not enough infrastructure to cover all of that. So for instance, we're chatting to multiple companies, for instance, financial exchange, that are not using a single blockchain, but rather are operating across multiple blockchains. In that sense, think about blockchain as cloud environment, for instance, Google Cloud Provider or Azure or Amazon Cloud. And as soon as you start deviating from a single blockchain to multiple blockchains, it becomes extremely difficult to orchestrate and get all of the data into one place so that marketers can look into the data and gain insights like analytics about where users are coming from, what is the most retaining thing, to win them over again. And the key gap that creates is it's very difficult to scale, because as the tech moves into different blockchains to open new opportunities for the marketing for the company, the marketing are kind of staying behind, finding it difficult to get the data from all these places to figure out the patterns and how to grow their user bases effectively.